United 4, Liverpool 3. United come from behind twice to beat Liverpool at Old Trafford in the FA Cup. Wow, wow, wow. United are still in the top four race, but really at this point, they're more playing for pride than anything. Their only chance to win a trophy this year is by winning the FA Cup. The problem today was to advance to the next round. United needed to beat their biggest rivals and the most informed team in the Premier League and in England, in Liverpool. Coming into this match, Liverpool had won 15, lost one, and had two draws in 2024, and already have the Carabao Cup in their belt as well. If United were to lose this game, not only would they give their biggest rivals a chance to win another trophy, but the call for the manager's head and several other players would have gotten much louder over the next 2 weeks while the team goes on international break. Instead, this win keeps the dream alive, and several players who've been taking a lot of stick this year, they come away deserving a lot of credit. First key takeaway: resilience. The story surrounding United this year has been about how the team folds under pressure. And I mean, that's been true at times, especially in the Champions League, but not today. United were the better team for most of the first half, even up until they gave away 2 goals in 3 minutes right at the end of the half. That familiar feeling of despair probably started to creep into the brains of all fans of United, same as me. But the team were able to fight back and get the win. Players, they really dug deep in this one. Garnacho never stopped running for 130 minutes. Rashford missed a goal that would have won the game at the end of regulation, but he still never put his head down, and he kept on running, and he got that goal to tie it up late in the game. Bruno and McTominay could barely move at the end of this one. McTominay even signaling for a sub to the bench, but he still ended up playing another 5 minutes, and they both kept fighting to the end. It's Antony and Maguire, two players that have been killed by myself and other fans. They both came on and both played a huge role in getting us back into the match and then eventually getting the win. This is a sign that these players, they're still engaged, they still believe, they still have pride, and they believed in themselves enough that they could come back twice from behind and get the win. My second key takeaway: this honestly felt like three separate games in one. It's crazy, but United were the much better team for the first 30 to 40 minutes of the match. Liverpool did start to get chances at the end of that, and they did have a goal, an endo goal, called off for being offside. But United were largely in control right up until that McAllister goal right before halftime. United were playing out from the back. Amount of distribution was good. They were getting the ball through the midfield, through Liverpool's press, and into the attacking third, and they were getting shots and chances on goal. It's crazy how having two fullbacks and a striker somehow turns United into a competent team again. Even United's press started to look okay. The second portion of the game, you can call it, will be when Liverpool did Liverpool things and their counter press. They got two quick goals, which is very familiar for them, and it looked like the game had completely turned. And from that point on, even though United did come out with a little bit of energy in the second half, and we had a couple nice attacks there, but no real big chances. It looked like Liverpool was able to take control of and almost kill the game from that 45th minute on. And then right around the 85th minute, Liverpool had made a couple subs. United had made a couple subs. Liverpool did look like they were in control of the match, minus a few attacks here and there. But then when Antony scored that goal in the 85th minute, the game completely flipped again, and United were attacking, and Liverpool were on the ropes for basically the rest of the match. Even when Harvey Elliot scored that goal in extra time, I still felt like United were the team that was more in control and still had the chance to come back and tie and win the game. Start with the goalkeeper. Onana, I thought, was great today. None of the goals were really his fault, although, maybe he could have palmed that second goal wide instead of straight to Salah. But his distribution was amazing again, especially with those long balls. He was very good at, putting United players into attack. He almost put Harry Maguire through on goal. I think if Harry Maguire was a little faster, maybe he could have played Rashford in. and this guy's a constant threat to his start attacks. He's good in the build-up. He did a little sweeping today. And if we ever figure out, how to limit the amount of shots that he faces, I think he'll be amazing. Has an opportunity to be, arguably the best goalie in the Premier League. That's just my opinion. But I think he does have that kind of potential. And if we have players that can build up, like we get Martinez back and maybe another center back like a Todibo or someone who's good on the ball and build up, then I think he'll start to look even better. As far as the defense, it's tough to say in a game when you give up 3 goals, but I thought our defense was good today. Delo, I thought, was great in possession, and he did a good job against Luis Diaz for most of the match. Diaz didn't really get that many opportunities on him. There was one late, in the match where he caught up to Diaz, who had a step on him and forced the corner instead of giving up a chance or a cross that could have led to a chance. Also, like I said, he was very good at breaking the press. He had a lot of nice body feints, and he would get the ball, and he was able to relieve pressure by breaking the press, not just by passing, but by dribbling as well. His strong season really continues. Lindelof and Varane, I thought, were pretty good together today as a partnership. I think Lindelof is very feast or famine. He either looks great, and he's the Iceman, good on the ball, great passes, solid making defensive plays, or he's getting bullied and he looks terrible. Today was one of his strong games. Same with Varane for the most part. I thought they were both decent on the ball. Lindelof probably a little bit better. And then when we made subs later, Lindelof was moved out to left back, and I thought he held his own out there as well. He was on Salah for a little bit. Salah came off, and then he was dealing with Harvey Elliot and other people. But for the most part, I thought he was good, defensively, and then even going forward when he moved to left back later in the match. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I thought he had Salah in his pocket for the first 40 minutes of the match as well. He's just so good defensively, and having a left back, even though he's a right back, having someone out there who, is a little bit more athletic. He was good in the build-up as well. I know Liverpool looks like they did kind of treat him as a pressing trigger, and they kind of forced the team onto that side. And when they did, I think that's when they started to have joy at the end of the first half. But again, he's a little bit rusty. He's been out for over a month, so I don't want to really hate on him too much for his mistakes there. And also that Bruno foul, like I know it was the Wan-Bissaka pass to Bruno. Wan-Bissaka kind of switched off because he thought the free kick was going to get called. But if that's any other player in the Premier League, any other captain or star player, they'd call that foul. But because it's Bruno, the refs didn't even consider it. He was clearly fouled. I understand why they didn't overturn it. But at the same time, that's called everywhere on the pitch, everyone else except for Bruno. But I thought Wan-Bissaka was good today, and he came off obviously because of minutes restrictions. But I thought it showed what we could have if we have an actual fullback, someone with athleticism, someone who can play 1-2s. He connected well with Rashford and Mainu and Bruno on that left side as well in attack a few times. In the midfield, just the only way I can start this is talking about Kobbie Mainoo. That kid is a star at 18. Gareth Southgate, I know he didn't call him up to the full squad, to the senior team. He's in the under 21s. But I think Southgate's an idiot if he doesn't take this kid to the Euros. Personally, I prefer he didn't because, he doesn't have to get, ruined by Southgate and deal with that nonsense. But the touch he has, the composure, the way he receives the ball and then handles it and then escapes pressure is insane for an 18-year-old. He dribbled through Liverpool's press multiple times in the first half. And I understand the sub. You don't want to run this kid into the ground. He's played a lot for an 18-year-old. But the sky is the limit for this kid. Next in the midfield, and I've talked a lot of smack about Scott McTominay this year, but I got to give the guy his flowers. I think as a midfielder, he hasn't been good enough. The goals have been great for the team, but his passing, his ball carrying, his defense, those haven't been up to snuff for a Premier League midfielder. But today he was arguably our best player. He was great defensively. He pressed well. He won the ball high up the pitch a couple times. His ball carrying helped get us out of pressure a few times as well. And he got the opening goal, obviously. And his assist for Rashford's goal, which was the third United goal, was a perfectly weighted assist. It was the only way Rashford was scoring on that play, and Rashford had to take it and score it. But everything McTominay did came off today. or almost everything he did was perfect and right. And I think he deserves a ton of credit for the way he played. And he saved us multiple times this year, but I think he put in a full performance. And Ten Hag has obviously seen something in him to continue playing him each match. And today he rewarded Ten Hag with the faith. Bruno was a warrior today. As usual, he was our hardest working player. He never stopped running, and there was a point where it looked like he could barely walk, let alone run. But he still came and gave that effort for the last 30 minutes. He played center back for us for the last 30 minutes, not midfield. Bruno is a pretty slight guy, not someone you imagine to be at center back, but he was back there, dictating play, spraying passes, where Ericksen moved forward and he was more involved in the attack. Bruno deserves a ton of credit for being a warrior today as well. And I think he's a guy who, is crucial to United's spirit. He never gives up. He never stops running, and he will run through literal brick walls for this team. He is, not United through and through. In the attack, Hoyland came back today, and that gave us balance. We didn't have to play with a false nine. We had a striker to occupy the center backs, and he did just that. He battled with Van Dijk. He got a couple shots off a few times. He wasn't quite as sharp as he was before he went off injured a few weeks ago, but that's to be expected. He worked hard on and off the ball, though, and we really missed that from a center forward in the last few games. Garnacho was great today, total warrior. He never stopped running for the entire 130 minutes, sprinting, getting in behind, dribbling at defenders, and he got the assist on the game-winning goal for United. Wasn't the greatest pass ever, but you give him a little bit of credit there, just because this was a guy who just made things happen for the entire match. And when Connor Bradley came on at right back, Garnacho looked at him like he was food, and he just went at him repeatedly. Rashford, I thought, also ran a lot today, and he showed more resilience, I'd say, than he has in most games this season, where it looks like he's either coming up injured or lame at the end. He never stopped running today, and he deserves all the credit for that. He pressed well even, and he was dangerous on the left with his best position. But when we made a sub, we brought off Hoyland for Antony. Rashford moved centrally, which is not his best position. He's been forced to play there a lot the last 2 years. He looked as best as a striker, I would say, at the entire time this year, since last year, I guess, when he was in his top form. He continued to press. He ran balls down, and he took his goal. It was a striker's goal. And again, I said this before already, but the fact that he missed what would have been the game-winning goal at the end of regulation, he did not let that, bring him down. It didn't, bring his spirit down. He kept his chin up. He kept going, and he took that goal to go 3-3. It was a striker's goal, and I was really proud of Rashford for that. As far as the subs, Maguire came off the bench and was our only center back for the last 20 minutes. He won every header that came his way, and he got in the opponent's box a few times and wreaked havoc there, winning headers and almost scoring a goal as well. Ericksen was good when he came on. He did run defensively. He broke up play a couple times, and his passing was good as always. He played the ball in that Rashford could have scored the game-winning assist at the end of regulation, and he was just good, picking out passes and keeping the ball moving. Antony came on and changed the game as well. His pressing has always been really good. He's always got a great work rate, but he scored the game-tying goal with his right foot in regulation, and it was a right-footed goal in traffic for a player who everyone says doesn't have a right foot. And, he's a guy who everyone piles on when things don't go well. So I was very happy for him to get that goal. Amad Diallo came on, scored the game-winning match, which was amazing. Poor kid got sent off for celebrating a little too hard. It's sad, especially considering what's happened to him this week. But, you know what? He got the winning goal. I don't think it's a long-term suspension. It'll just be like the end of the game. He doesn't get a suspension for the next FA Cup or anything. So, play this kid more. He's definitely dangerous moving forward. Mason Mount, I don't want to give Mount a hard time. He came on for 15 minutes. He didn't do much. The guy's been out for 4 months. He comes on in a very, emotional game. There's obviously going to be some rust there. He got in on a few tackles, but he didn't do much. Just happy that he's back now. Moving forward, United have completely changed the narrative going into international break. The vultures were out for the manager after the loss to Man City, but now with the win against Liverpool and silverware still being on the table, the media will have to talk about something else. In the FA Cup, United drew Coventry City away. I'm not saying that's a guaranteed win, but this is clearly the best possible scenario for United, with City and Chelsea being the other opponents for the semifinal. Coventry City, they're eighth in the championship. They did beat Wolves away yesterday, a tough place to win. But United are definitely going to be the favorites, and they should advance to the final. City will play Chelsea in the other semifinal. Hopefully Chelsea can get the win there. But part of me wouldn't mind beating Liverpool and Man City to win the FA Cup. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Is this the statement win that United needed to kick on for the rest of the season, or was it a derby against our biggest rivals and a cup tie, and all bets are off for usually in those matches, and we just kind of got lucky? Do you think we have a chance to win the FA Cup? Do you want to play City or Chelsea more? Do you think that it's a bad idea to look ahead and not look at Coventry City, who I think that we should beat? But whatever. Let me get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Where do you think we'll finish in the league table as well? Do you think Lisandro Martinez coming back changes our team drastically? Do you think our trajectory, or Ten Hag's trajectory, has changed with this win and potentially winning the FA Cup, beating a Chelsea or even a City and Pep Guardiola? Would that change people's minds, the Ten Hag outers? Either way, get your saying in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and up the Reds.